Hi there, folks. This is Glenn Gruschow with the Homes with Glenn team. Today we're going to start the beginning of what I hope is going to be a multi-video series reviewing some listings that I'm finding in the North Atlanta area that I believe are really good value opportunities for prospective buyers. These homes I'm limiting to criteria of homes that have been on the market for an extended period of time. I'm looking at homes 90 days or older. I'm looking at homes that are vacant because I find that homes that are vacant and are not investor owned, that's the third criteria, tend to be opportunities for prospective buyers with the sellers most likely at a position where they would be open to price negotiation. There's no guarantees, but these are homes that I think are worth taking a look at. So we'll go and look at 5 homes at a time in each of these videos because I want to keep these videos digestible. And we'll go through the same evaluation of each property with the overall criteria of the home needing to be at least 90 days on the market, vacant, and not investor owned. So let's get started. All right, the first property we're going to look at today is in Johns Creek. As I mentioned, these 5 properties today are in Alpharetta, Johns Creek area. This one is at 320 Outwood Mill Court in Johns Creek. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home, just under 2,000 square feet. It's built in 1993. It has been on the market for quite some time, a little over 200 days. And just looking at my notes on this one of the things that I noticed if we look through the home itself, it's got some nice features. It does have a fenced yard. It is on a cul-de-sac. We come down, a little trick here as we go through Zillow listings. If you ever want to get an idea of where that home is situated, you can click on the street view and click on this one. It'll show that it is nicely located at the end of back of a cul-de-sac. Some nice looking homes, again, based on what we can tell from the latest Google Map view. So that is just an alternative way to look at the home based on a recent Google Maps view. But go back to the listing. Again, fenced yard on a cul-de-sac, always nice, especially if you've got littles or pets, keep them inside. They talk a little bit in the listing about it having new flooring and interior paint. The backyard is small, but let's go through the pictures and we can discuss one by one. So again, front side of garage, they mentioned that it's got new flooring and new paint. So the interior paint looks to be like a beige color. Lighting fixtures, not quite updated, but not terrible. Look through it, looks like it's in pretty decent shape from my perspective. Again, 1993 home, so what we're looking for in a home like this is what kind of updates have they made, and does that help to justify the price? Or if they haven't made any updates, can we get it at a price that bakes into account some renovation budget? So one thing I noticed in this home is it appears to have popcorn ceilings. Depending on your preference, that may be something that needs to be addressed. The kitchen, more of a galley style kitchen, doesn't look to have been tremendously updated, but in good shape overall. Again, going through and just looking at some of these pictures, you notice the new flooring, new paint, bathrooms, again, not in terrible shape, but probably have not been significantly updated. Again, you can see the popcorn ceiling in some of these pictures. Large master bath, adequate, but again, depending on your preferences, may warrant some renovations. This bathroom actually looks like it's been updated recently. It's got the updated cabinetry, more modern cabinetry. They've got some nice light fixtures and things in here, maybe some hardware in the bathroom. So they have done some updates, but again, we're looking at a home that's been sitting out here for 200 days and trying to figure out, okay, what might be the cause of that? You look at the backyard. It is as I mentioned, a small backyard fence, but not a lot of green space back here. But depending on the slope and what you have to work with, probably all doable. It's just not something that they invested in, and maybe why it's been sitting out there a while. Again, from my perspective, of course, we'd have to inspect it and get more details. There was no information about the roof or the mechanicals like HVAC or a hot water heater on this one. Those are always the big 3 that if you work with me will always be the first thing that we'll take a look at, because if those aren't updated, those can be intrusive and things that you may need to do sooner than later, especially if the roof is older than 15 years. You may not even be able to get an insurance company to insure the property if it's older than that. So for this one, we'd need to take a look at it. At $585, just taking a look, I think there is a little bit of opportunity for price improvement. Looks like this property did go off the market back in February, probably for them to do some of these updates, and then came back in March. And so they're probably counting on maybe some offers based on the updates, but after 30 days, something's got to give. So anyway, I think this is a good property. I do think there's opportunities with it being on the market for 206 days for some price improvements. So if you're interested in the Johns Creek area and you're looking for something 3-bedroom, 3-bath, this would be a good home that I would suggest taking a look at. Now, I can see more information about this home in the private remarks in the FMLS and in seller disclosure statements that I can't talk to you about today. But if you're interested in this home, please reach out to me. If you're interested in any of these homes today, reach out to me. We can schedule a showing appointment and I can share more information about this home so that we could, if you're interested, we can make an appropriate offer. All right. The next property we're going to look at is also in Johns Creek at 750 Hedgewick Trail. This home is a little bit bigger, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, almost 2,800 square feet. Just taking a look at my notes on this one. So it's got new paint and vinyl plank flooring on the first floor. As we look through it, the pictures, built in 1998. Let's see, this one's been on the market for 92 days. So again, it meets our criteria of being on the market 90 days or longer. This one does have a street view, so you could take a look at it, just to get an idea of what the neighborhood looks like. It's an attractive street, nice looking homes. For me, I think the exterior of this home has some opportunity. I know in my neighborhood, my home is a 1997 home, and we went ahead and painted the brick and made everything one color. I think having different older colored brick here or traditional colored brick with different colors here may be an opportunity to freshen that up, and that may be why folks are shying away from it because they want that more modern look. But let's dig into this one. So if we take a look at it, the interior is definitely light, airy, looks attractive. I think when you walk in, you can definitely see the new flooring. Some older light fixtures, so it's interesting in this one, some newer light fixture and older light fixtures. I probably would have had them update this one to something a little more modern. Again, you see some of the gold in some of these older homes. That's an indication of some of the original fixtures in that style. Now, that being said, gold is coming back, I'm seeing, with some people liking that. What do I know? But it's all based on personal preference. You look through, nice open floor plan here in terms of the family room and kitchen overlooking the family room, a little breakfast area. Again, as I mentioned, newly painted. Older cabinetry, but not terrible. Granite countertops. Attractive. They have done some updating. You can see to some of the light fixtures, a little bit more modern. But when you come into the second level, everything up here looks to be older. You can see some of the marks in the carpet here indicating that this is older carpet where they've moved the furniture out. See some gold in the fans indicating kind of original light fixtures, probably original or older flooring. Nice fireplace in the master, which is great. Some of my buyers really like that. One of the things that I noticed right away is carpet throughout the master. So I know back in the day, I lived in a house where my parents back in the 90s did carpet through the bathrooms and even the kitchen, and I thought that was great, but I don't think I have a lot of clients right now that are digging carpet in the bathroom for obvious reasons. So that would be an opportunity for some cleanup. Again, older gold fixtures throughout, all fixable, but just things they chose not to update, which again may be lending to it being on the market a little longer than it should. And then the backyard, nice sizable backyard. It's hard to tell. Looks like there's a tree with a bunch of roots here. Again, that could be taken out, and a little bit of improved landscaping back here, but nice big backyard. Could be a great backyard for a family, a pool possibly. We probably could do a shaded covered deck back here. So lots of opportunities with this one. But I think at the price that they're asking, it does have some continued investment that will be needed. But if it's got good bones, depending on an inspection and a walkthrough, it could be a really good opportunity to come in and make an offer and encourage price improvement being accepted by the seller. So this would be another one I would take a look at. All right, now let's move on to the downtown Alpharetta area. So this one is located off of Mayfield Road, 1880 Mayfield Road, right down the street from downtown Alpharetta. This one caught my eye based on the location. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,700 square feet and change. Take a look at my notes. Again, being right off Mayfield Road, that road does tend to get a lot of cross traffic from folks that are coming to or from downtown Alpharetta, so that could be a concern for some folks. Going back to the details, built in 2005, nice good sized lot, about 2/3 of an acre lot, And going down into the additional details here, it's got newer HVACs, a 4.5-year-old roof. So again, when we talk about those big three HVACs, roof and hot water heaters, this one is definitely checking off the box and having some updates there. Let's jump into the interior on this one. Really beautiful exterior, nice kept yard, beautiful kind of wrought iron fencing in front. Again, a lot of discussion in the listing about the landscaping on this one. In this picture here, you can see Mayfield Road, and then there's just a little turnoff, and it looks like 4 or 5 homes were built here. A little bit of shrubbery here. They provide a little bit of privacy from cars driving by, but you see how close you are to Mayfield Road. That's going to be a blessing and a curse. Blessing from a convenience perspective, and possibly a curse in terms of just a little bit of road traffic. So just something to keep in mind. Not terrible, but again, something I like to point out in terms of the pros and cons for a property. So when we look on the inside of the property, they chose nice colors, neutral colors for the updated paint. It did say that I believe it had some updated paint since they've listed it. Staged. Again, this home is vacant, but they'd left some furniture in to give you an idea of how the property could be used. Beautiful family room here with a stone fireplace. Nice entryway. Kitchen, again, older cabinets, granite countertops. Not terrible, but not completely updated. So something to keep in mind, especially at the price point that they're asking for. I think the price point they're asking for would be reasonable if it was fully updated, but there's things that are obviously haven't been updated in a while. Nice, decent sized deck. It's a wood deck. It looks like it's weathered a little bit. I personally am a big fan of composite decking, but not necessarily something you'd have to do right away. But again, something you'd have to maybe consider putting some investment in, or at least maintaining that old deck over time. Looking at the bathrooms, again, not terrible. Looks like probably granite or Corian countertops. Pretty standard. Again, not a lot of updates, but in good overall shape. Basement, I'm not a big fan of drop ceilings. I think they're very old and dated looking. They're practical in terms of being able to get to all your mechanicals and such and for maintenance, but when you see a home for a top price and you see a drop ceiling, that was an opportunity probably for installing a sheetrock ceiling at some point that they bypassed. So again, personal preference, but I bet for a home that's 800,000 plus, that could be a detractor for some. Interesting flooring. I think that's cool and funky, but some may or may not like that. If you didn't like it, you could run LVP over that and fix that pretty easy. Nice big bathroom in the basement, and then side entry garage, which is always nice. Drive-in side entry garage and a nice paver driveway. So anyway, so this one I think is attractive. This one was, I think, priced very high from the beginning for the market, and they've been dropping the price for a little bit, but I think there's probably more price improvement opportunities. They just dropped to $25,000 about 3 weeks ago, but I do think this is priced high for the market, and with it being at 90 days, what did I say? Actually, I'm sorry, this one's 175 days. Being vacant and so forth. I think this would be one that I would be visiting if you're interested in a home near downtown Alpharetta. I think that there could be some motivation for accepting a lower offer on this one. All right, and then we'll jump to this one, which is very different from the last one, with the exception of the fact that they both share a good location near downtown Alpharetta. So the one we just looked at was right down here off Mayfield. This one's a little closer up, close to downtown Alpharetta. Sadly, I think that's about as good as it gets with this property as far as something I would call it as being a positive. It's an older home built in 1984, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. I did look it up on public records. It's a small home, a little over 1,600 square feet, decent sized lot. But as noticed here, they're talking about it's a opportunity for renovation, right? So they're coming out and saying, hey, this is a renovation project. It's 150 days. For the price, I think that they're asking at $669, that would be a good price if it was completely updated. But as you take a look at the property, especially as you go inside the property, you can tell right away the flooring is in bad shape. It definitely needs some painting. Overall, depending on the inspection, may be acceptable. I found some of these pictures funny. It says best suited for, what did it say? Or best suited for buyers looking to add value. I think I saw one picture that said price counts for the fact that it'll need renovations. I would disagree. I think this one is priced way too high considering that it's had little, if any, renovation since it was built back in the 80s. You can tell by the cabinetry. Definitely needs to be updated. I can appreciate them being honest that it does need renovation. I think it's obvious from looking through the pictures that's the case, but as you can see, it's definitely a renovation special. Go back to the listing. We can zip through these a little bit quicker because it's pretty consistent throughout. Again, a lot of decent space here. This looks like let's see, this may be, I don't know if this is all on one level, or this maybe actually looks probably like the basement or the terrace level. Again, at those drop ceilings, everything that can be updated, but you need to get it at the right price. Look at this deck in the back. I don't even think that deck would be safe to walk on, so it'll be an immediate tear down and rebuild. Driveway needs some work. Again, great location, really good opportunity for a renovation project. It's interesting that they've held out so long to try and get that price. They just cut it down one price improvement since it got listed 5 months ago, so I think they're probably starting to realize that they bit off more than they could chew. So again, here, value opportunity. Condition reflected in price. We disagree, and their realtor and them need to have an honest conversation about what they thought they could get versus where they're at today. So anyway, if you've got an opportunity, if you've got some expertise or are interested in a renovation project, I think this is a great location and possibly an opportunity to negotiate on that price. And then the last one we'll look at today, we'll spin back over to Johns Creek. This is an interesting property. This one was built in '87, so again, a little bit older, coming up on 40 years old. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, almost 3,000 square feet on about a quarter-acre lot. So over to my notes on this one. In the listing, they talk about new vinyl flooring, updated siding and roof. I'm not sure what that is. Some interesting kind of color choices. If you look at the interior, kind of went with a blue for the inside, which I personally like blue, but that was probably a little bit too intentional based on their preferences. I normally tell my clients to go with an off-white or a light gray or something if they're going to paint. But if you like a blue house, they went pretty crazy with blue on the inside. The kitchen looks like it's definitely been updated since the house was built in the late 80s, but granite countertops may need some additional improvements based on your preferences. Again, lots of blue throughout the house and LVP flooring. This is definitely a positive when you look at the master. It's definitely been renovated. You got marble flooring and walls, some great, looks like quartz countertops and cabinets, a nice raised bathtub and shower area. They put some money in there, but you can't see in some of the other bathrooms. While this was updated at some point, it's scratched and beat up. A little bit of scuffing and flooring in the garage. And then the best thing is back inside of the house, a really attractive salmon color. Again, if I were their realtor, I would have told them that when they did the painting on the inside, they probably should have went with a neutral color on the outside, but maybe they assumed somebody would like salmon as a color. Easy fix though, but again, that may be an opportunity to buy a house that's been neglected based on that color and some other things and get a price improvement. Really cool looking fixed gazebo here. And then if we zoom back out, a good sized backyard that has some usable space to landscape and make your own for pets and kids and so forth. So anyway, I do think this is a great home as well. Again, all these homes have been sitting for a while. I think they are probably because they don't have investor owners and they've been sitting for 90 plus days. This one is coming up on 5 months. Definitely good opportunities to come in there and make an offer and move into the inspection period to really see what's behind the walls on these homes. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I'll continue to run a 5 property review of homes that I'm finding with these 3 criteria moving forward. If you see any of these homes and you're interested in them, like I said, I know more about these properties than I can disclose. But if you're interested, please reach out to me. We can go ahead and set up some time to explore these properties, and I can be more forthright about some additional things that are in seller disclosure statements, private remarks from the realtor that'll help you make a decision. So until then, thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you visiting. Bye-bye.